Scott. First and foremost, I guess just give me your thoughts on the main event, Vadim Nemkov retaining.
I tell you, Nemkov to me is the best 205-pounder in the planet in any MMA league, including better than the UFC 205er. So I think what you saw today was his speed, his agility, his combinations. He could kick, he could punch, he could take you down, he could defend. I mean, he could do it all. So I think that's what you saw tonight. I mean, Yoel Romero, that's a scary guy. And if he punches you or gets on top of you, you're going to be in trouble. So I think what you saw was just the skill level of Nemkov. And it's impressive. I mean, the guy is really, really good.
Coming into this week, I think with the co-main event, a lot of the eyeballs were on Patricio and his potential ability to really make some history here. And perhaps Sergio was kind of the spot that didn't get that same spotlight. So for him to come out here tonight, kind of against the tides and go out and put on such a great performance against the fighter you called the Bellator GOAT, I mean, what did you think of that?
I mean, listen, it's speed kills, right? And that's what you saw tonight. And I think that Patricio looked a little hesitant and looked like he was, trying to get in the groove, just couldn't get there. And Pettis was throwing nice combinations, good punches, good kicks. I think it was a great fight, a very intense fight, and I clearly think that he won the fight. So I think the right guy won, and he'll go on to fight Mix, which will be another amazing fight. So we look forward to putting that together sometime in the fall. But I think you just saw the skill level of Sergio. This guy has beaten, some really good talent at his weight class. So Horiguchi was the start of me saying, "Oh, this guy is really special." And then when he fought tonight, I said, "Wow, Pitbull is dangerous," because with one punch he could change the game. But I just thought that he worked it in and out really, really, really nicely and had side to side movement. He was just too fast.
And then the two fighters that came out on the losing side of the equations, Yoel and Patricio, I guess where do you think they go from here, each of them?
I don't. I think the one thing with Patricio is we have to sit down and have a conversation. Are you going to stay at 35? Do you want to go back to your normal weight at 45? He might feel more comfortable at 45. Maybe that's where he should be, because if he fights, at 35, he's going to run to speed all the time. So maybe he might be better off at 45. And listen, it's no secret. I'd love to have him fight Aaron Pico at some point in the 45-pound weight class, but it's going to be up to him. He deserves to have the next move is going to be up to what he wants to do, and we'll take it from there. As far as Yoel Romero, I'm not sure. I mean, he took a lot of punishment tonight, and we'll have to evaluate and see where he wants to go with his future. So we'll probably have a conversation with him in the next 2 weeks.
Light heavyweight's kind of in a weird spot right now because Vadim's been dominant. Corey Anderson picked up a win tonight. Looking at that division, is there anybody that sticks out to you as a potential next challenger for Vadim?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that guy has been on a tear, and he's the best in that weight class. I know Corey wants to get a shot at him because think about that fight, that first fight. Corey was on his way to win that fight, and he stopped because of the cut, and he told Frank Trigg, "Hey, he's cut." They went, to the cards, and then they stopped it, went to the, and it didn't work out for him, right? But the second fight didn't work out. I think that Nemkov studied a lot of film on Corey and made some good adjustments on Corey. So does it deserve a rubber match? I think it does, but when and where, we'll see.
Last one for me. At the beginning of tonight, there was a little bit of a delay. It seemed like there was an ambulance issue or something. Could you just kind of give us from your perspective
I mean, that was something that was really surprising, and I think that, that's something. I don't want to say that's something that's not true. I'm only hearing some rumors, but I want to get all the facts, and then we can get back to you on that one.
Anybody else? Just a quick one for me, Scott. What do you? I know you guys try to come to Chicago as frequent as possible. Just here in November, obviously Daniel James didn't get the win, and the crowd is going crazy for him. How do you feel about continuing to book events here in Chicago?
Yeah, listen, again, there's been such a rich history of fights here in Chicago. To me, it started way back when Fedor fought Brett Rogers, here in town. And we've consistently came here. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, I think we've been back here when COVID ended and, for the first time in this building. But we've done a couple fights at the Allstate Arena, and it's always been a good city for us. And I really, really think the fans enjoy having the big fights here. and they support us, as you can see. So I think this is the biggest crowd we've had since the Fedor fight when he fought Brad Rogers. So I think that it's nice to see some good support, from the Midwest.
I know it was already mentioned earlier, but for you, seeing a guy like Sergio come in off such a long layoff, face a guy that everyone coming into this week was calling the Bellator GOAT, what does it say to you about where he is at this stage of his career to go out and put on a performance like he did tonight?
The one guy I think you should really look at is Duke Roufus, right? When he was, when he was going into training camp, Duke said, "This is how we're going to fight him," and he creates a strategy for Pettis, and he followed that strategy. And I think that I call him the chief strategist at the Pettis camp, right? I go, "Hey, there's Duke Roufus, the chief strategist," because there's certain people like Javier Mendez, like Duke Roufus, or different trainers in different areas. They just have that ability to find a weakness in their fighter, in the other guy, and then try to exploit it. And I think that Duke is one of those guys that just has that knack to figure it out, because all of his experience, whether it's kickboxing or MMA or whatever, he's been doing this for 30 years. So I think that's a guy, as long as he's in his camp, I think he's going to create a strategy. He's going to execute it, and he did it very well tonight.
I know Patchy spoke to us earlier, and obviously Sergio earlier. Sergio said he liked October and November. He's got a wedding in next February. I know you mentioned this fall. Does that all kind of line up with your timeline?
Listen, if they want to fight in October, November, we'll get it on. I want to see that fight personally, so it's gonna be a great fight. I'm really looking forward to that fight.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Couple things. So last time, you guys were just working out the CBS deal, and now consistently you hear nothing but rumors about acquisition this, and how do you keep business as usual and put on amazing events like tonight?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have a great roster of talent, and our job is to put on the fights. And Viacom, when they went out looking for a financial partner, it was they have to open up to everybody. So they're talking to several people. How that nets out, we'll see. In the meantime, we have a job to do, and we're putting on some amazing fights. Not just, I think it started last year when we were in Ireland. I just feel like this company's been on a roll. I know we're trending tonight. I think number 1 and number 2, and socially we're just crushing it. And I think about this year, it started with the Fedor fight, great event in LA. Then I think we went to Ireland and we had Amosov fight, and it's just been San Jose, Hawaii, here, and then we go back to Japan and New Year's Eve last year in Japan. I feel like we've just been knocking it out of the park, and that's something I think that's what we do. That's what this company does. So we're going to keep doing it, and then we'll see what happens.
No, you absolutely have been. Hats off to you and the whole team. It's consistent questions. People can always talk about the different title shots. Speaking of that, though, one of the big storylines was Patricio's opportunity to be the first in all organizations to hold 3 belts. Obviously, I know we mentioned you don't know what's next for him, but do you see that opportunity coming somewhere down the line where he wants to try again for it?
If he wanted to, we'd have the conversation with him, but let's just wait and see what he says. Again, I don't want to speculate what he's thinking, but we definitely would have a conversation. He deserves to have that respect, but we'll see. The kids at 35 are young and fast, and it's maybe, like I said, maybe he's better off at 45. I do know this fight meant a lot to him. You could tell after the fight how disappointed he was. But like I said, speed kills, and on to the next one, because this guy is a warrior. Like he said, this is all I know how to do is go fight. And the guy has done so much for this company. His accomplishments, even before this fight, have already been, great for this company, and he's been such a great, our Mount Rushmore of Bellator. He's been the face of this company for so long, but it's going to be up to him. So again, don't let this one fight take anything away from him, because if he would have done it, sure, he would have been a whole different level of success, I think, and accolades, across the MMA world, and it'd probably be one of the greatest accomplishments that any fighter could have won. But didn't work out, and he's still 2-belt champion. Don't forget, this kid is a guy that has fought everybody. He has never turned anybody down. He's always looked for the toughest test, and they're just tough guys, man. it's really impressive to watch those guys fight.
Yeah, and then last one for me. So I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Nemkov or Corey, but we obviously have. And Corey said that after the fight, he was kept going after, give you next. And then Nemkov actually mentioned he was thinking about moving up to heavyweight. Is that something you'd entertain? And is this the first you're hearing about this?
Yeah, this is the first I've been hearing about this. So I think Nemkov probably wanted to stay at 205 because, Fedor was at heavyweight. Now that Fedor's retired, maybe he wants to move up. I think 205 pounds is a very good weight class for him, and he looks really good. He looks fast, explosive. He's got, an all-around game. Fighting at heavyweight might be a little bit different. But if he wants to test himself, listen, we're here to have that conversation.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Scott, regarding a possible sale or merger or anything like that, is there part of you that in this process, as those discussions are going on with Viacom, that gets, I guess, protective of your brand and this version of Bellator that you've built since you've been here and makes you think, God, I kind of don't want that to happen because this is my baby and my team's baby?
Well, listen, it's this is a business, right? And Viacom owns the company. And we've been involved in a lot of the conversations with the different potential, investors. Viacom is going to keep, ownership too. They're not going to just, look past it and move on. They're definitely going to be involved. So, again, when they decide who the partner is going to be, then we'll have those serious conversations and see how it works out.
How much of the history of this kind of thing with the Strikeforce merger with the UFC, and you being part of that, do you look back on and go, God, that was only 10 years ago, and I remember,
Well,
I don't want to say how that worked out, but
all I'll say is look, we are doing great things with this company, and when you build value in a company, the way we've been building value and the great fighters that we've been building, people are gonna knock on the door, and so that's all that happens. That's just natural for any business that is growing, that has shown the kind of talent that we have. We are in the fight business, right? One thing we can do is we can promote fights, and we can sell tickets, we can get sponsorships, and we have TV deals all over the world. So when you have a successful business like that, again, people are gonna knock on the door. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
And last for me, I know you said you think maybe Patricio's best bet is to go back up to 45. Before this fight, I feel like the thought was that if he won the 35 belt, that he wanted to go down to 25. So, I mean, that's a huge difference. Yeah. Do you think that he still would consider that idea, given the Horiguchi situation? Or do you think, just leave that alone, go to 45, guy?
I can tell you what I think, which I think he should go back up to 45. And again, these young kids coming up are speed kills, and they're super fast. And to me, you've been so dominant at 45. Let somebody come up to your weight and come test you out and see how it works out for them. But again, he's one of the fighters in this company that we'll always sit down and listen to, because he deserves that respect. He's been around a long time. He's accomplished so much. We're going to give him that conversation when the time comes, and we'll let him tell us what he wants to do, and then we'll say our input, and then we'll figure it out.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
One more here.
Yeah, just one final one for me. You guys were on CBS earlier this year. Any talks of a potential second CBS show, or is that just going to be a once-a-year thing for you guys?
Yeah, you know what? That opportunity came about out of the blue. It actually wasn't really even planned on the schedule, but they had an opening, and they asked us, and we took it. So if they ask us again, we'll definitely do it. But that's something that's unknown at this point.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.